ARC are no longer a part of the league, and IF leagues have also pulled out, as well as TGP. They will be replaced next week. We will get some replacements in though to try and fill them gaps. Also, want to mention as well that background noise is actually my PlayStation overheating. It should sort itself out shortly.
Yes, it happens. I mean, I've only done 2 races with you, but that's normal. It usually happens when you're streaming. It's not it's not normal, but I mean, when it overheats, you're streaming. So yes, we have 12 drivers or 6 leagues competing today for the Belgian Grand Prix here at Spa. Already have 9.5 minutes remaining. We'll go through the little driver rundown here. It is Temp Fear, Tech Gemzo, Cherry Tupai, and Force India. There's Stocky, SML, Marquette, and it looks like Kara's in there, Williams as well. There's Thomas, there's Ace of Pace, there's Bulletproof, Julian, and Flores in the Sauber, of course, for Race Stars NL. That really just does our lineup, the 12 drivers we have here today for ULC. And, well, the rain is really, I mean, like we said, the rain usually doesn't really help these lap times. It's going to really change some things around. I remember in Hungary, we could have had, I mean, we had a chance at rain, and we saw a lot of clouds in the sky last time out. This time out, it starts with rain. So, hold on a second. Yellow in Sector 3. That is a Force India slow, and it's Julian. I think he's just getting ready for a lap as he's about to cross the line. But yeah, these conditions at the track are definitely not going to help these drivers. And of course, if we have rain here, I mean, Belgium, there's always a good shot that we may have some rain compared to some other tracks that we've been to this season. So, do you think if, you know, let's say the rain doesn't go away, what tire do you think that most drivers will be starting on?
Well, I'd imagine at the moment intermediates, as obviously the most of them will be out at the moment. It really does depend though on how heavily it comes down. If the water is settled, probably wets is going to be the best one. But if it's just light, I mean, at Hungary we had a really weird situation, didn't we, where we were unable to really decipher what tyres they were going on, because it seemed like with the rain coming down it should be intermediate conditions, but nobody ever made that switch apart from France's Jessica, who made that switch late on, and sadly for them didn't score any points for IF leagues. Looking as well though, you've got to think that at this track as well, with these wet conditions, it is really the most tough track to have them. Spa is always well known for being a changeable and dynamic track, but you'd probably look for out there and say, with the amount of corners of Eau Rouge and such, always Ace of Pace just gets a little bit wavy, almost crashing into the wall there. But with the amount of variance and corners and also height differentials, it is a question as well. Will the complete track be wet if light rain does happen? I mean, is the track's not going to be consistently wet throughout the entire track, because it is covered by a large radius of miles, so it's going to be an interesting one to see how the drivers compete in these sort of really difficult conditions.
Yeah, you said that there could be some ever-changing conditions on the track. I mean, this is one of the longest tracks on the schedule, and even in real Formula One, the track is 7 kilometers long. In turn 1, you have La Source, which is really just, I like to call it the hairpin. Then it leads you down towards Eau Rouge, and then there's another part of the track that sticks out, and you have corners such like Campus and Savlot that's all the way down towards turns 14 and 15, and then after that, it's just a really long straightaway with a couple swerves left and right. So really, it's a long track. It exceeds from one place to another, and believe it or not, this is actually a shorter layout than what I used to be a long time ago, when I actually used to be on the streets. But Julian coming across the line, that is going to be a 158. Oh no, Flores across the line, a 157.4. He's going to score in his Sauber, and I mean, it's been good for Race Stars NL, definitely in ULC. They've produced a good lineup, and both drivers are here today. So like I said, you have 12 drivers, and Gems, like I said, in 4th. Cherry Tupai slices into P number 2. And a little ironic to say, Cherry Tupai is, you know, Pi slices into P number 2, but Ace of Pace in 3rd, also able to set in a good lap time. Julian, Gemzo, Twamos, and Tempfear. Most likely, the drivers are really just stretching it out to 2 minutes when our pole sitter Flores dips into the 157s. He's the only driver to do that so far. We do have 5 minutes left, and I'm already looking at the pole sitter, and he's making mistakes left and right. So really, it's not just that 1 or 2 drivers are making mistakes. It's more of, you know, the majority of the field. I mean, this track does catch people out. Back then, they called German Grand Prix at Nürburgring. It was one of the most dangerous tracks. I mean, this season, we don't have that track, and it was really known as a dangerous track for many reasons. One of them being it was so long. This track is really long as well. Now, I'm not saying it's dangerous, but it's definitely going to catch some drivers out today. And, you know, like I said, I was on board with Flores and made a couple mistakes, and he's our pole sitter so far. But let's look at the difference in lap times. I mean, already from first to second, it is by 6/10, a little more than half a second. And then the drivers who haven't set a lap time, like Stocky, SML, there's Care, and Bulletproof, they're all going to go up for a lap time, and so is Technica, already out on the circuit. He's about to come to the end of his lap time. So we have 4.5 minutes remaining. Do you think anyone can dethrone Flores from pole position? I mean, he's had a really good Grand Prix as of Hungary last round, and it looked like he's going to carry the momentum, but never mind. Julian, fastest lap time in the Force India. Do you think anyone can knock those two off the front row?
Well, you've got to look through the field, and you've got to look at the championship leader in Kari. You know, he's been a real success so far. He's Bulletproof, just coming out onto his first lap in ULC, representing his team, ILR, in replacement for Shamasi. Marchetti and Kari are both very, very talented drivers, and they were leading their championship for a reason. Kari and Marchetti, though, haven't actually set times. Marchetti's had some internet issues and been joining in and out. But Kari, I mean, confidence there from Julian. He's retired. I mean, he's only a short distance ahead, but some confidence there. But Kari, he hasn't set a lap, and that's going to be a little bit worrying for the SML guys. The Spaniards are normally quite early on their laps to set a benchmark, so the pressure's really on. And if you want to really crank up the pressure, I mean, Spa in the wet is probably not the best one to really test your patience and ability to perform under pressure. As one of the Williams is coming out, I'm assuming that will be Marchetti. Who hasn't come out yet for a time, is it? Let's have a look, see. No, it's Kari. Marchetti hasn't come out yet. So it's Kari, he's coming out in his outlap. So too is Stocky and Bulletproof, as previously mentioned. And also out there, Tumas, Ace of Pace, 10th here. They're all going to be wanting to improve to get within that 1 second gap. You'd imagine with the low turnout today, they'll all be thinking we can get some decent points here. With next week, hopefully having a more full and packed out grid, this is a real opportunity for them. Julian has mentioned, very confident. Flores is very, very close. We normally like to refer to race stars as a Dutchman, but obviously Julian, he is also Dutch. So sadly, it's going to have to be a phase of previous history now, because we aren't going to be able to call them the Dutchman anymore. It's going to have to be race stars, sadly, or the Saubers. But with Julian's arrival for SRL, we can no longer refer to them as that. I want to quickly ask you a question, Alan. You're looking through the grid. It's a long, long lap. Do you reckon anyone can get 2 runs in? Because, I mean, Julian done 2 runs and he got the quickest time. So is 2 runs more productive?
I mean, it depends. I mean, I look at the wet tires, and back then when I league raced, it'd, you know, be more beneficial to set more than 1 lap in, just in case you made a mistake on the first one. I mean, I never really saw war on the tires when I raced in the wets a long time ago when I used to league race. But for these drivers, it's something different because, 1, they're faster than me, that's for sure. But from a driver's standpoint or a commentator's standpoint, I mean, why not go for an extra lap? I mean, there are 12 drivers in the field. It's not like there's 20 drivers where, you know, it could catch you out. There's only 2 spots in today's race that you're not going to get points, and that's if everyone finishes the race. So, I mean, I'd definitely go for 2 laps. However, the chances, if you're going to get 2 laps in, well, I look at the slowest time, and it's around 2 minutes or so, or 1:58, 1:59. I'm looking at the difference, so I don't really know, but fastest 1:57, so it's around 2 minutes. So really, if you're going out there and you have 2 minutes, well, you're not gonna really have a chance to do 2 laps, maybe just 1. But I mean, it just depends when you get back on the circuit. For guys like Marchetti, he's only gonna have a unless if he doesn't go out there, which is still in the pit lane, which baffles me. But for Care, he's only gonna have 1 shot at this lap. He went out a little bit too late, and he's only gonna have 1 chance to do this lap time. But we also, like we mentioned, Julian Flores on the front row by 4/10 of a second, or actually no, 4/100 of a second, a lot closer than I thought it was. Cherry Chapai back in 3rd. He's on an out lap. He's going to go for 1 final run in qualifying. He's going to probably cross the line with around 40 seconds or so. But as it stands right now, drivers are on out laps or finishing their lap time. So let's do a little more track facts before we do this one. I did a little math before this one. We have 22 laps today and 20 corners at this track, meaning we'll be doing 440 corners today for the Belgian Grand Prix. And of course, like I said, 22 laps. I said race length is, I'm not going to do the race length. The most wins as a driver here, Michael Schumacher is 6. Scuderia Ferrari picking up 16 victories here at this legendary track. First Grand Prix was held in 1925, and there has been 73 Belgian Grand Prix. Very, very historic track, to say the least. Cherry crosses line. He'll start his lap. Many other drivers out there on a flyer, and Marchetti still in the pits. Kind of obvious, but I'm not sure if there's a cause for that. Oliver, do you know why SML Marchetti's not setting a lap time?
Well, I can only imagine that when he was having disconnect issues when he was going through and setting his times, Ace of Pace quickly just comes across the line and doesn't improve on his time. Maybe he's stuck in the garage, maybe he's unable to do anything. Stocky as well has been unable to set one, so he obviously was unable to get a clean lap in as well, so he starts 9th, 10th for Marchetti currently, but you'd imagine Kari, who's coming through the final corner now, onto the start-finish straight, goes up into 5th gear. Can he get onto the board? There it is, 8/10 quicker than Julian and Floris. An absolutely sensational time from the championship leader as he moves one step closer to that championship gold. Floris really now has got to be the only one who can dethrone him. Maybe Cherry 2 Pie Cameron there. Hopefully he can improve. I did notice on his lap he was locking up a little bit. 10th here as well, he might be able to improve. The best he can hope for is 5th. He's quite close behind Gemzo, who's had a really disappointing qualifying. Ace of Pace, maybe he can get one more lap in. And Bulletproof, we haven't been able to see what he's doing, but he's a little bit wavy. But yeah, that's an absolutely smashing time there from Kari. There seems to be a car off the track. It's Tumas. There might cause some green flag, yellow flags there. But looking through the field, you'd imagine Floris, who's coming through the final corner, is going to be the only one who can really dethrone Kari, or maybe challenge him at least. At least put him under pressure. I think Kari's feeling pretty confident at this stage there. So it's a shame for SML. Marchetti's just joined, so obviously he wasn't here actually when the quali was underway. There goes Floris. He moves into P2, moving SRL to 3 and 4 with Julian and Cameron. Now all eyes move on to Cameron as he's coming through the final corner now. Can he improve going through the final chicane now? Can he get in the acceleration here nicely? A car ahead has lost control. That's a runner. That must be Ace of Pace there. He's lost it. Cameron comes across the line. He outperforms his teammate, moves 6/10 behind. It's a 3-4 for SRL. Very solid performance. Not able to top Skeven's pole position earlier on in the season. And 10th here now going to come across the line. Can he beat Gemzo? No, he's unable to. It now leaves Ace of Pace to be the final man to set a qualifying lap. Coming through now this final corner. He gets a little bit wavy there on the acceleration, up into 5th gear, across the line, and Ace of Pace moves up to P6, I believe that was. But yeah, 3 cars. Oh no, P5.
It was P5.
P5. And there was 3 cars there that didn't actually set times, which is a little bit surprising. Bulletproof was one of them, SML Marchetti, and Stocky. I'll quickly let you run through the qualifying results.
Yes, the qualifying results stand as Kara, Floris, Cherry, Julian, Ace of Pace, Gemzo, Tempfear, Technica, Tomos and Saki running out the top 10. Then it is SML, Marchetti, and Bulletproof running out the top 12 and our grid for today. Yes, you did mention there are 3 drivers who did not set a lap time. 2 of them which had control over not setting it. Marchetti didn't really have a chance. Stocky and Bulletproof were under control of their cars but did not set a lap time, which surprises me because I was riding on board with them. They must have invalidated their only lap time. I mean, then again, down to the conditions how we've been seeing at this track, but I'm hearing some word from some people that are in the race in the comments are saying rain mid-race. I've been told it could be interesting. So as you can see now, we're loaded into the lobby and it already looks cloudy, so it's going to be a cracker of a Grand Prix for the Belgian Grand Prix. The rain definitely could play a factor for many of these drivers if they know it'll happen. So yeah, that's really all I have to say before this race starts. It's going to be a good one. I mean, despite having 12 drivers. Do you have any last thoughts before we roll the lights out?
Well, the only thoughts I can have is, can Kari be dethroned out of such a stonking qualifying lap? You'd imagine not many people are going to be able to challenge him for that trophy as well. Looking behind, Cherry 2 Pie and Julian both look very feisty there. New guys for SRL, rookies and very young lads as well at 16 and 13 respectively. They could make a few mistakes and be the more reckless on the grid with less maturity in them, but overall I'm just looking forward to what could be a really good race.
Yes, here we go, the 5 red lights for the Belgian Grand Prix, and we're green with Karen Floris on the front row, and it's a fantastic start from Kerr. He's clear the other cars already towards turn 1, but Floris making a lunging move all the way around the outside. They'll be wheel to wheel as we head down towards our route. One of the cars off in the background, but it's still wheel to wheel with Floris and Kerr. Can they do it on the opening lap? Will they go side by side in our rouge? But Kerr thinks better of it. Oh, very fast driver, knows what he's doing, as now he's going to try and make a move down the Kemmel straight off the Verdillion. No DRS yet, we have to wait till lap 3. They'll be wheel to wheel down the Kemmel straight. We're going to wait till the exit though. Can Kara do it on the outside off the exit? Oh, it comes so close, he has just enough track to do it. They bang wheels, and wow, Floris gets away with that one. And the finishing order from the Hungarian Grand Prix, the top 2, are where they stand right now. And there goes Kerr diving down to the inside, hits the side pod. He'll still be going at it on the opening lap. Kerr and Floris, can he do it around the outside, headed back downhill? It's close and he gets run off. And now the force ending of Cherry's going to come out of nowhere and steal second place from Kerr as we head downhill towards Sector 2. So Cherry right now is on an attack mode. He got by Kerr, but not for long. There goes Kerr back towards Sector 3. Just enough room to squeeze around the outside. He'll have the inside this time. Just enough room. Kerr goes by for second, and this is what Flores wanted to see. He's already opened up a 7/10 gap on the opening lap against Kerr.
Yeah, really good performance there from Flores to get off the line really nicely, going at Kari. Kari, though, comes straight back at him as now Cherry's going to get the slipstream going down this long looping left-hander going into the bus stop chicane, and maybe Cherry will go for a move here without DRS there. He's now going to get in the slipstream. He's going to wave about a little bit, try and get some temperature in these tyres. He's on super soft, remember. That's a good side note to remember. Differentiating of tyres there. Cherry goes for the switchback there. Going to get a better exit out of the corner, but he's not going to be able to get anything done. But Kari is going to be really, really eager to get the move done. Flores is on super soft tyres to mention. But Kari's on ultra soft, Julian's on ultra soft, Technica supers, supers, Ace of Pace supers, Stocky softs, Gemzo supers, also is bulletproof and Temp supers, and Marchetti and Tumas are on soft tyres. So only Kari and Julian going for ultras, so a very aggressive start to this race. You can't imagine that Cherry is going to hold up his teammate in Julian. You might see some team orders involved there, but I think it's now a case of a matter of time of how long until Kari can get up and pass Flores. I think the optimal strategy really around here is an ultra soft, super soft, but it really does depend on that weather. If the rain does come down, it might be interesting to see how the tyres last, because as we mentioned previously, in Hungary, that the harder compound tyre is actually better in those changeable conditions. So maybe we could see the guys from 8th to 10th come back at us later on.
Yeah, so looking to battle back here for a single point between some of these drivers. There's Twabos and Bulletproof going at it. He gets run off the track down behind the Renault of Bulletproof. He just shoved his way through there, and he's taken that single point paying position. But like you mentioned, as it stood last lap, Flores was ahead of Kerr. It was 7/10. We have rain already. It is lap number 2, and rain starts to fall here in Spa. What will it mean for some of these drivers? Force India runs 3rd and 4th. They cannot pit at the same time. Remember, they'll be held up in the pit stall, so it's a disadvantage for these guys because they're both contending for a podium as we speak right now. Karen Flores most likely will be the lead driver to come in. Not this lap, obviously. It'll take a couple laps for the track to dry. Like we said, the track is very long. It's the longest on the calendar, so it's going to take some time for this track to sort of set some rain or puddles on the track, and that's when once we see some spray from the drivers off the tires, really it's going to be time to switch to the intermediate tires. But already I'm on board with Kerr in second. He massively locked up in turn 1. Now we head back downhill towards our Rouge once more. Every lap the track is going to get more dry, which means we're going to have to go a tad bit more slower in our Rouge just to avoid any incidents, because once you go on the intermediates, you have to go really slow through our Rouge, and a very, very dangerous part of the track when it's wet. Then again, Kerr, he's 2/10, and he's back to 1/10 right behind, but he's run very wide, and he's missed the braking point against Flores, and now the gap is back to 6/10, but it was 2 laps ago. So as it stands right now, lap 3, DRS is available, but it'll probably much close with the next couple of laps as rain starts to fall even harder. This lap, it just came out a lap ago, and already it's acting like it's intermediate conditions already, not on the track, but like the rain is acting like it. Looking back in the background, Cherry has got passed by Julian. Go back in the background. I don't see any further battles going on. Just Temp Fear having a terrible time already in these conditions, and I'm already seeing spray coming from the tires. When do you think these drivers will have to pit for the intermediate tires?
I'll be completely honest with you. Maybe now. If I was Cherry, you know, his teammate's ahead of him. He's going to get held up in the pits either way. If I was Cherry, I'd probably just pit for the intermediates now and try and risk it. Julian's getting a little bit wavy there out of the onto the curb. Could be an opportunity here for Cherry to get past him. But I would probably say that we're looking at round about now, really, that these tyres seem to be struggling maybe just about another lap. But the issue is the lap is so long round here that extra lap could lose you so much time. And if you do pit, could gain you. So we'll look throughout the field to see if anyone does pit. Nothing for Flores. Kari doesn't pit. Let's see Julian. He goes deep into the corner there. Cherry goes round the outside. He gets up there. So Cherry now has the advantage. Technica there, ultimate opportunist, gets round the outside, and Julian is really struggling here. Ace of Pace now might be able to take advantage of the Dutchman in the Force India. Cherry 2-pie locks up, and Technica runs into the back of him. I don't think there's any damage there for the Haas driver. Julian, there was damage. Oh, so it was damage. So Technica there may be taken into the stewards for some early braking. It doesn't look like as much in the just racing incident, and these conditions are so tough, but there may be a complaint from the Haas team. Cherry, though, getting really wavy out there. Gemzo gets a 3-second time penalty. Now Cherry's under pressure here from the Haas. The Haas now going around the outside on the left-hand side of the track, slipstreaming. No DRS at this stage. I believe. Oh, and Julian there getting damage from his wing, and he hits the rear end of the house there. He completely locks up. Technica now has to go off. Ace of Pace moves up the 4th. Cherry regains 3rd position. Technica around the out, goes wide there. He crushed into the wall, and that's major damage, and he's going to come into the pits this time. He almost loses control there into Stocky. Stocky goes around the outside. Little clip between them two, and I definitely think we're going to be seeing that one in the stewards as all the cars now are making their way past. But that was a real dangerous move. I think that kind of stems back to Julian hitting him in the rear end. It really sent him off. So there'll be a steward's inquiry, but Julian with damage and Technica with major damage now. So Cherry 2 Pie has actually come out of this situation feeling pretty well with himself. Julian's starting to drop down now. He's really struggling with grip through the corners and in these difficult conditions. Gemzo making his way through now for the Race Stars boys. Around the outside, he gets up to 6th position. But Stocky in P5 will be pretty pleased with his start considering where he began. That Ace of Pace now is on the hunt for Cherry 2 Pie. As Julian now is battling Marchetti. They go side by side. Marchetti gets a bit wavy. Julian really getting aggressive here, getting his elbows out. Marchetti goes for the switchback. Marchetti's pass. And you can only imagine that Bulletproof, and there he goes. Bulletproof will also get the move done. So Julian is dropping like a stone. And as I mentioned about pitting, I think him and Technica really do need to pit now as Julian is going off at every single corner.
Yes, we usually get a notification when it's really time to pick. Everyone missing the apex towards the chicane. There it goes.
Multiple cars in.
Off right. Oh, the Bulletproof. And, oh, well, that car isn't bulletproof anymore, if I should say so. And he's broken the front wing of that thing twice. And, well, terrible for Bulletproof. He's now in last position as many cars behind him have gone in for the gamble, knowing that they will not get a good result. And they're going in, and spinning in the pits, Bulletproof. They're all going to go in for some intermediate tires. And yeah, usually we get a notification from Jeff saying DRS is disabled. That's usually best to when to pit for intermediates, but usually when there's spray out on the track like this, and really I'm already starting to see some puddles and in the corners, and many people making mistakes. I think now would be a good time for some of these drivers to pit. So as I go through the field, it stands right now lap 5 out of 22. This is a quick grid rundown.
Just a quick note. Technica has pit onto soft tyres. I think he may have had an issue coming in the pits and maybe not had communication with his mechanics. So his race is theoretically over.
Well, that's one less driver to worry about for everyone else. So really, there's only one driver that they'll be contending with that will not get any points if none of them retire. So really, as we go through the field, it is Flores, Care, Cherry, Ace of Pace, Stocky, SML, Marchetti, Tuamos, Gemzo, Julian, Bulletproof through second penalty. That's Julian, Technica, Tempfear, and Bulletproof. That rounds out the grid of 12 on the opening 5 laps. I'm going with every single driver. The gap between Flores and Care, despite Care being on the Ultra Softs and Flores on the Supers, the gap keeps opening up massively between Flores and Care. This is only lap 5 of the race, and things are going to get much worse. The Williams driver. But we go down to the field, like I said, Cherry and third. A couple laps ago, these guys were endangered of all losing their front wings, battling with each other. Now it's really, these drivers want to survive on the track, pit for intermediates, because now is the time to do so. DRS is technically still enabled, and there goes Flores into the pits. Will Care follow him? It drifts off the turn 19, and into the pits he goes. Cherry follows Ace at Pace. Will Stocky do it also? And he does. Marchetti must also in the Williams, gliding through the corner. Tuamos most likely, and that's everyone else. Let's see where Gemzo will rack up against him, because the front people pitted, because the back people already pitted. And some of them, were sort of midfield. And let's see if, the overcut or undercut pays off. Flores still remains in the race lead. Care off the pits. There he goes. And Gemzo to the final corner. He's not going to pick up too many positions, and Bulletproof is out of it. And, well, that's terrible, as he was about along the back straightaway. And already Technica, he's going to try and stay on the soft tires. We have 11 drivers left in this thing, and Tempfear is still behind him, which is very odd. But the grid order still is. If you put it a couple laps later, it was going to work out for you. There's Flores, Care, Cherry. They're still all in front of the guys you pitted just 2 laps ago. So really, it paid off to pit a tad bit later, but we're going to ride on board Gemzo. This is going to be P number 8 against P number 7. Tuamos and Gemzo. What will happen? He'll try and dive it down to the inside. In Lacombe, he'll have just enough room to try and squeeze through there. And gets the position done nice and easily. And off the exit of turn 9, and he's gone by Tuamos for P number 7 on lap number 6.
Yeah, lovely move there. We got the much better exit out the final, out of turn 1, sorry, as there's yellow flags in sector 1 and 2. Let's have a look, see if we can spot what's happened there. It seems to be his House of Technica. He's on soft tyres, as we mentioned. His race was theoretically over. and really it would have been wiser for him to come into the pit. So yeah, he's dropping like a fly, so there's going to be points on offer for pretty much every driver apart from him, sadly. Looking through the field, battles to keep an eye on. Stocky was within a second, but he seems to have dropped off a little bit. Gemzo will be catching onto the back of Marchetti, maybe he's had a really good recovery drive. And the 7-second gap between Kari and Flores at the moment, so it doesn't look like there'll be much in there. So realistically, I'm looking through maybe Julian on Tumas. And a good side mention we have to bring up is the fact that with no DRS, it could be really tough to overtake around this track. So any overtaking manoeuvres from here on are going to be really good quality ones. So like the Gemzo one there, it's going to be a real elbows out sort of performance. You need to get a really scrappy overtake, as Gemzo is within 1 second. So that could be the battle to keep an eye on going forward between him and Marchetti. Marchetti, a driver who's done really, really well in recent races and helped lead his team to a really good performance in the Constructors' Championship, leading the ULC PS4 side. Quickly before I hand it over, the side note here, Kari has now made a 4/10 gain on Flores, so if this keeps up, he could well catch up to his Dutch compatriot.
I mean, you could say that. You have to keep in mind that I did hear that the rain wasn't going to last forever from one of the drivers in the field. Well, it says he said mid-race rain. He didn't say rain towards the end. So I'm assuming that the rain's probably going to end. Technica finally goes into the pits. Finally, he's off that dreadful set of soft tires, and he'll put on the tires meant for these conditions. Lap number 7, Flores still ahead, and actually, oh, look out, there goes 8th and 9th. They're going at it. Julian gets by Trommels, and the two Haas's having a terrible day. Trommels falling like a rock, while Technica having many problems in this race. And despite both drivers in the running of a 12-car race, they're only going to pick up 2 points as it stands right now. 10th year down and 10th for UPL, I believe. But we're going to go through the field. And like we said, 11 cars still left in it, lap number 7. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say too much. I mean, Technica, 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. Probably, I think we just got a warning for maybe, what was it? Okay, that was towards a Rouge area. I thought it was off the pit lane. So, what I was going to say is that there's a chance that the rain could stop. There's a chance that this rain could go on forever. Let's say the rain goes on forever and, you know, the conditions don't even reach full wet. Most likely, these drivers may have to pit again for new intermediates. If not, the track may dry if the rain stops, and they'll put on a new set of slick tires. And again, the overchange point could really affect some of these drivers' races. I mean, you saw drivers who pitted 2 laps early on in the intermediates. Now they drop in many positions because those intermediates were not ready yet. Though it's lap 8 now, and everyone is running on those green tires, the intermediates, and those drivers who pitted 2 laps. Oh yeah, I'm looking at, was that Marchetti?
No, Flores there. I just went on board with Flores and he got really wavy and looked like he might end up in a wall there. All of them seem to be really living on the limit at this moment in time and really pushing the car to its very limits. Gemzo is catching onto the back of Marchetti quite rapidly at the moment. He's really struggling though, Gemzo, through the corners and trying to keep the car under control. These do look like wild animals sometimes, these cars, when the full acceleration and revs there. Marchetti, they're getting a really poor line through that corner. This can actually open up Gemzo now with a better exit out of this corner now, coming down the Kemmel straight. No DRS, remember, under the flyover side now. I don't think he's going to have enough of a gap, but it's going to come to around 3/10 between these two, and they are gaining quite rapidly on Stocky here as well, who could be swallowed up by these two battling at some point. But Gemzo is all over the back of the Spaniard.
Yes, it's been going on, off the track a little bit. Again, these drivers making many mistakes. Gemzo will make a move, thought of it, but backs out. Lap number 8, but then the gap is going to open back up again. We're still headed downhill. Battle for P7, corner with no name. Gemzo still behind. Marchetti there, like we said, between 6th and 7th. Those two have been going at it, been keeping an eye on them. And it was funny when you said Flores made a mistake. I was looking with Marchetti. He made a mistake at the exact same time. So that's what I thought you were watching a minute ago. Again, many of these drivers making mistakes, and it's not even the drivers who are outside of the points. It's the drivers who are contending for race victories that also make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. No one is perfect, especially at a track like this with conditions like this. So on board with Flores in the race lead. Gap has come down by a second over the last 2 laps. So really 5/10 per lap, or a half a second. Across the line for lap 9, it is Flores. And, well, he's had a good first stint of this Grand Prix. Now, if anyone missed 2 weeks ago for the Hungarian Grand Prix, the result pretty much stayed as a top 2 finish like this. It was actually really close, as Kerr was on the back end of Flores towards the end of the Hungarian Grand Prix, with Flores taking the victory. Kerr was second. And Kara was catching him down like a mad dog, and now today he's going to have to bring his method back and do the exact same thing, but for wet conditions, as Kara saves the car, headed up our route into the Rodillion, now down the Kemmel Straight. So really, a lot of these drivers are catching their car out. They have to save it if they want a good result. I mean, props to Cherry. He was in that early race battle with his teammate Julie, and there was a couple other cars involved, and with one of the Haas's as well, and he got away unscathed and clean with that one. So props to him. I think he's the only driver that got away cleanly, because I know one of the Haas's broke their front wing, and then Julian all the way down in 8th place. He's been falling down like a rock. Right on board with Gemzo. He's been catching Marchetti for P6, and well, the gap between them has been really a couple tenths, and it's been staying like that ever since, you know, the overchange point. And really, they have the exact same pace, so one mistake from either of these drivers will really cost them. It is lap number 9 now. Do you think we'll see a battle between Gemzo and Marchetti?
I really do, but at the same time, I have to say I've been keeping an eye on Julian, who has been gaining a couple of attempts each lap and is starting to get closer and closer. It's 2.6 now, just around 2.7 really. He's been keeping that consistent, but he's kind of chipping away there. Kari as well does need a side note. Now, previously when mentioned it was around 6 seconds, it's now 4.3, the gap between him and Flores. So if he continues his pace and on these tyres, I think he's really the quicker driver in these conditions at the moment, so he should gradually be able to catch up to him. But it does look like it's Sauber versus Williams throughout the field. The big one is Gemzo versus Marchetti. Gemzo's just backed off a little bit here, maybe for some clean air. Well, I did mention, you know, it'd be tough to overtake, but following cars around this track on any day is tough. But in wet conditions, with the dirty air and the lack of downforce and the slippery conditions, it's going to be a really, really tough one. As Gemzo there, almost losing the rear end. Every time he goes through that corner, he does the same thing, and every time I get really, really scared on his behalf. Marchetti, though, is really gaining on the back of Stock as well, so it could be a three-way scrap for 5th, and if Julian gets in on the action, he's now 2.3 behind, could be a 4-way scrap for 5th. So I don't think things are looking good at the moment for Stocky. He could be swallowed up by the chasing pack at the moment, but he just needs to battle bravely. Ace of pace, keeping Cherry 2 high, really nice and clean there. Cameron doing a good job going up a Rouge now. And yeah, throughout the field, I feel like at the moment we're going for a bit of a quiet stage, but it's all like leading up and building up to some good battles going ahead. You know, with the field being so mixed up, with Marchetti not qualifying and then earlier pit stops for damage and whatnot, it's really thrown a spanner into the works with the two normal culprits leading the race at the moment in Forrest and Kari, who have been championship rivals from pretty much, I think, round 2 when Flores joined from around Spain, yeah, when Flores had that really impressive performance.
Yes, I mean the pace has really been showing, but and again, there's other drivers that have been really impressive. Remember, last time out in Hungary, I was looking at Kerr, like I said, and I'm one of the fastest drivers I have ever seen on this platform. I know I can't really be opinionated here, but Kerr has always stuck out, and I don't know why. It's mainly because I've commentated more leagues that he's been racing on. Ace of pace, can he save it off the wall? Spinning it, he does save it. Ace of pace. I was switching through the order, got in the curves, he drifted around, caught the back end and swerved it the other way, kept it off the wall. Incredible from Ace of pace. He's taken my word away. That has won an award for the best save I've ever seen in open wheel racing. Stocky, SML, Marchetti, yeah, these guys are really reeling in each other. SML, Marchetti's getting that fishing wire out. He's trying to reel in the fish out there of Stocky, and I mean, he hasn't been doing too good of it, but I mean, that gap has really started to diminish as of lately, and that gap now is just, it's closing in, but it's getting smaller each time. What I mean by that, like
Cherry
a couple laps ago, maybe.
Oh,
Cherry 2 behind the pit.
It seems to be drying up.
I forgot to say it stopped raining. Yeah, it stopped raining.
So
still tons of spray, and
he's going on softs.
Is disabled still.
He's on softs.
It's going on softs. It's a gamble. For Cherry, I don't recommend it. The track is still very wet. There's spray coming from the tires. I mean, yes, it stopped raining, and I mean, we haven't noticed that because we've just been babbling away about how good this race is. But for Cherry, he's noticed the rain. His race has been pretty boring, so that's probably why he noticed. He hasn't had anyone to battle with ever since the beginning. But for Cherry, we're halfway through this race, and yeah, the rain has stopped. He went on the soft tires. The soft tires will be a tire to finish the race on. Like we said, we are halfway through the race. And actually, there goes Tuamos onto the super soft tires. He believes he can finish the race on the softer compound compared to Cherry. And, well, I look with Cherry and Tuamos. I'm going to ride on board with Cherry. Let's see how these conditions differ. They look a little bit slower. I mean, he's having a lot of understeer and off the corners, a lot of oversteer. Needs to really fix that, but I think he just pitted a couple laps too early. I mean, DRS is still disabled. Track is still wet with puddles on it, so really does not help the case of Cherry. But I look up, and there's a battle between SML Marchetti and Stocky. Finally going by is Marchetti against Stocky, but Stocky's not going to go down without a fight for UPL in 5th place. And he's still in 5th place due to the fact that Cherry in front of him pitted. And right now, Gemzo right behind for the Race Stars NL, the Dutch. He's trying to get by Stocky against the McLaren Honda, the UPL driver. He may have a chance headed towards Blanchimont. Once we get off this corner, just a better exit. It'll be to tell. And Stocky actually gets a better exit. I mean, Gemso had to check up, and Flores, he's into the pits to be a game changer here, depending on what tires they put on. Feels like Flores and Kerr, they've been equal pace throughout the entire race. So if Kerr's good with his tire management, he should be able to put on the super soft tires and catch down Flores, and that's what he's doing. Both of them onto the super soft tires. Actually, nope, Flores onto the softs. It just changed for me. So Flores on the soft tires compared to Kerr on the super soft tires. Most likely, Kerr's plan is a gamble. He's going to try and reel him in towards the end of the race as Gemzo has retired. He's into the pits. No damage done. So I don't know what that is. I think either he had to go, because he still had a decent shot at some points there. I mean, the front wing isn't broken. Well, it must have happened to him.
Yeah, that is a strange one. I'm not sure what to make of what's just happened there. He seemed to be doing quite well as well, gaining on the back of Marchetti. So hopefully we'll be able to get a word from him. I'll have a quick look in to see if there's a reason behind that. I'll quickly get in contact with him, see if we can get down at the Sauber garage to see what happened there. It was a bit of a strange situation. But the important thing to note, Cherry has stayed ahead, but he has lost time to Ace of Pace there. So he did make the right decision in a sense, but at the same time as well, he has made the wrong decision in coming in so early. I think he went for the undercut there as Ace of Pace a little bit all over the place. But yeah, Cherry on soft tyres, Ace of Pace and Marchetti also. Yep.
There's a problem. Look at 10th here. I know he's going to be the only driver that's going to get 1 point, but he's stuck in the pits if you're seeing this.
He's up and running for me now.
Oh, he's still stuck in the pits for me.
Oh, yeah.
Never mind. Continue.
Oh, maybe a DC thing then. Nice to see Co-Masters at their best there. But yeah, quickly side note, Ace of Pace on Supers, so is Marchetti. They're probably going to gain on the back of Cherry 2.5 if they have genuine pace. We'll keep an eye on that one. Kari on Super Softs is going to have to try and make them tyres last and catch up to Flores. I don't think there's any penalties. We'll quickly look for the race director to see if there's any major penalties for the race leader. Nothing for Flores, nothing for Clary. There's 3 warnings there for Cherry, but none of them are no penalty for him, so that's a little bit strange. Ace of Pace hasn't got one. Marchetti doesn't. I don't think we're going to be seeing many. Stocky has a penalty. Julian doesn't have a penalty. Tumas has had a stop go. That's why he was held up in the pits. Technica, he has a penalty. And 10th Fear, the final runner, he also has a penalty. So penalties between Flores and Kari aren't going to be a major factor. These two can go ahead of each other and they can battle from here on in. So it's a straight fight to the end between these two. You were bang on as well. Whoever gave you that information about it being a mid-wet race, almost just a short portion in the middle of the race was bang on there. Fantastic call and great information there for you to hand over to all of us here at ULC. I don't know really, I just want to quickly ask you, what battle are you looking at, because there could be some real good scraps, and also the tyre choice could be vital. We know the softs are going to make it to the end, but will the super softs? That's the really important one. And could somebody have risked ultras?
I mean, you look at the field, I think these are all pro drivers racing. I don't think I know, and all of them know that ultra soft tires aren't going to cut it. So really, my opinion is, the drivers going on to the super soft tires are making a huge gamble. I mean, depending on how they fare with tire wear. But the battle that I'm looking forward to, I know there's a 3.5 second gap between them, but obviously it's the battle for the race win. Kerr, like I said, one of the fastest I've ever seen on this platform, and he's on the faster compound. He's been reeling in and catching and putting a dent into the gap that Flores has between those two. And he's been reeling them in. I mean, as of this lap, made a couple mistakes, but went from 3.5 to 3.2 seconds. Now it's going to head towards Blanchimont lap 13. We have 10 laps to go, and Flores still leads, but for how much longer? And plus the other factor, like I said, with tires, I mean, keeps on pushing, he's going to put more wear on the super soft tires, so it may pay dividends to him if he saves some and then starts to push even more. But again, gap stays around 3.5 seconds or so. But I feel that if Kerr starts to gain more on Flores, he's putting in more wear, on his tires. So every time he tries to gain some, he loses some on his tires. So it's really a win-lose situation. And for Kerr, he needs to figure out that win-win situation for not only his tires, but for that race win as well. Forgot to mention Tempfear also in the pits. No, never mind. Still game glitch there. Well, I'm looking up with Stucky and Julian. These two could be put on a good ding-dong battle as we approach lap 14. And yeah, a lot of lag on my screen. Again, I'm not sure if it's just you, but I saw it just for a second. Again, Stucky and Julian. Yeah, I'm not sure if you're seeing the lag too.
Yeah. There's a moment there. I just spoke to Gemzo. The reason why he had an issue, there was lag and desync that have cost his internet, and he sadly was unable to continue and decided to retire rather than continue with the poor desync and whatever he was suffering at the time. Sadly, our host of the lobby is no longer here, but so that's the reason why. It's a shame for him, as there is some lag between Julian and, well, blimey, there's a little bit of lag there between them two, so this might sort itself out shortly. I'm not sure if it's happening on track as well, but from us in the commentary box, there is some interesting lag going on at the moment here. But yeah, Flores is being caught at a rapid pace from Kari. That could be a really interesting one to keep hold of. Julian and Stocky are battling really tightly at the moment, so hopefully there can be a good scrap through there. But with these dry conditions now, the track has gone from wet to dry. It's going to be increasingly greasy. That's of the race now, so I'm not sure if Kari being made aware of what's just happened there as he sets the fastest lap of the race there. So a 5-second stop go, that's really thrown the spanner in the works, and a cat amongst the pigeons, as the old saying goes. You've probably never heard of it, but yeah, nope, a very British phrase there. Really can't get more British than a cat and a pigeon squabbling, but yeah, Kari is gaining. He has his advantage now of a stop-go penalty, a 5-second stop-go for Stocky as well, so the stewards are really going in now. Stocky was actually going into the pits, so that's an interesting one. Wonder what he got that for. So he's come into, maybe he got some damage with the Julian incident we saw earlier, which was may have been lag between them two that we was seeing. But as Stocky has left the session now. Maybe he's disconnected there, but he's come into the pits and he is stuck inside Tempfear's car. There's a pit stop upon a pit stop on our screen at the moment. Very interesting sight. And are they letting him go? Yep, there he goes. So the Tempfear one must just be a glitch at the moment, and where he's actually racing. His time seems to be pretty consistent there. So it's a shame there for Stocky. Maybe he can rejoin, but seems to be some issues at the moment throughout the field. Kari, though, unable to really gain on this, but if he knew about the the 5-second stop-go penalty, which I'm not sure if Flores actually has to serve, maybe it can stay on to the end of the race for him. He will take the race win at this moment, as long as he doesn't pick up any penalties that would negate the effects of that penalty that Flores has picked up for corner cutting.
Yes, you know, the penalties have really costed some drivers here. It's a bummer for some of these drivers. They had a chance of a good result. For Flores, I mean, he'll still probably, oh yeah, he's definitely pushing one about, no, not Kerr. I mean, it looked like Kerr went faster that lap time as well than Flores, but apparently not. Maybe got a warning or something that invalidated it, I don't know. But between Flores and Kerr doesn't know that Flores is a penalty. For Flores, he's going to start pushing as he saw with that fastest lap time. Once he gets that 5-second stop go, he doesn't have to make it on the pit stop this race, so really it's just a 5-second penalty. He really needs to open up that 5-second gap between them. Flores knows he has a penalty, but Kerr doesn't know that Flores has a penalty, so both of them are pushing like mad dogs. But the thing is, Flores will be able to finish the race on these tires. I'm not sure about Kerr. It may pay off for Flores for that penalty. I'm not sure. But we'll see. We come towards the end of this race, and right now Flores stays ahead. The gap is 3 seconds flat.
Yeah, really interesting developments are coming under here now. Kari gets a little bit wavy there out of that corner, coming out of no name there. Could have really been interesting, but he's got it down to 2.7 seconds, so that gap is coming down. The sun is starting to come out. The heat on track is starting to improve, and these tyres are going to heat up nicely and get some more grip into them. The super softs will come into their element under warm conditions here. Cherry 2 Pie is kind of in no man's land, 16 seconds behind the front two at the moment and 5 seconds ahead of Ace of Pace, nothing to be gained there, so he's doing well on them soft tyres at the moment. I'm not really sure if there's much of a differential between the tyres in performance-wise. A full lock up there from Cherry, that is not going to be good for his tyres, that could actually cost him later on in the race. Julian, he's not really gaining on Marchetti, so Marchetti's kind of got away clean, but Marchetti himself is actually gaining on Ace of Pace, which will be interesting to keep an eye out on. So really, it looks like the two Spaniards in the Williams are the ones to watch out for. They're going to be gaining significant time going forward as Flores now actually sets the fastest lap, which I can only imagine is going to be beaten by Kari as he comes across. No, he didn't. So it looked like Kari actually set up a game time there, but Flores got the fastest lap there. So these soft tyres are actually coming into Flores' favour at the moment. So developments all the time. I'd expect these two to meet at the track at some point, though. But you know, Kari's losing a bit of time, so maybe Kari has actually wasted opportunity and gone for the wrong set of tyres.
Could be that, but the gap has, like I said, opened back up to 3.3 seconds. I mean, on my screen for a second, there's 3.3 seconds. That's 2.7 between Flores and Kari. And we go through the field. On my screen, Tempy are still in the pits, and actually looks like the two AI are hold on a second. Yeah, for a second, it looked like, yeah, Stocky's an AI on my screen. I look back on Tuamos, and he's not. Okay, I was confused there. I thought both of them were an AI, but actually, Tuamos passed Stocky for a second. The AI was in front of Tuamos, but right now a 3-second penalty for Technica. Technica somehow managed his way back up to P7, so a good result for him so far. But you know, the Haas's run 7th and 8th, so opposed to the first stint where they're only going to get 2 points, now they're looking like they can score 10 points in this race for that team. So good result for the team, a double point stand. That's equal to a 5th place finish for a single driver. But we go through the field again. Gap between Flores and Kerr, it is around 3.1, 3.2 seconds. The gap, I mean, sometimes it's like a roller coaster. I mean, the biggest I've seen is 3.5 seconds. The lowest I've seen is 2.5 seconds. It stays between that range. I mean, it goes up and down, but it cannot even make up its mind. But lap 18 out of 22, it is Flores still ahead of Kari. But again, that 5-second stop and go does not help. Flores needs to keep on pushing and try and exceed that gap to 5 seconds. And I mean, it doesn't help he's on the harder compound compared to Kari, but for Kari, he doesn't know that he has a penalty, so he's going to keep on pushing. And once till those tires die, that is what I know Kari for. I mean, I know Kari for a fast driver, but also one who makes a lot of incorrect strategy calls on what to put on, you know, on his tires, or what to put on his car for tires. I remember the first ever race I commentated with them, won that, and then the next race it just made a huge and massive mistake. So Kari, he's been known to make sort of these incorrect strategy calls, but again, a very fast driver. If he can time his strategy calls correctly, he can have the pace and contend for the race win, and that's what he's doing. But that gap is still staying around 3 seconds. Without that penalty, Flores would be leading and winning this race as it stands right now. But right now, with that penalty, Kari is in the lead by 2 seconds. Actually, not now 1.5. He's massively lost 0.6 in one corner with the corner with no name, and he's gained it back already. And, well, last 10 laps between them, the biggest gap has been 3.5 seconds, and now Kari exceeds that a little more than 3.5. So, do you think those tires are quickly starting to degrade on Kari's car?
Yeah, it seems to be the case. I was looking at there, and it seemed to be in the middle sector that Kari used to gain all of his time. In the first and last sector, he was quite poor, which kind of adds up, really. If you look at the fact, you know, straight line speed, maybe his car's not set up for that. Yeah, he seems to be tumbling a little bit now. This isn't a good sign for him. Marchetti is the only car that seems to be gaining on the one ahead, which is on Ace of Pace, so that'll be interesting to hold on to. But Kari, if he knew this is a strategy battle, it's a strategic call at the moment, he has to try and keep it. But Flores is pumping out them fastest laps. If he continues the way he's going, I mean, he's gained 6 tenths in that on that lap. It's gone from 3 seconds to 3.6. Continues to do this, you'd imagine that he might be able to go on and actually extend the gap and hold on to this race victory. He'll know he has a 5-second stop-go penalty, and he'll know that he has to pull out the gap. He has hit traffic there in Stocky, so I'm not sure if that held him up. So the situation at the moment is that Flores knows what he needs to do. Kari hasn't got a clue what's going on, but Flores really does need to put the foot down here at the moment. But it's 2 tenths gain for Kari in the first sector, which has quickly gone up to 3.6. There, Marchetti has got it down to just under 2 seconds, but it's gone back up now to 2 seconds, so he is gaining on Ace of Pace at a rapid rate of knots. For the Constructors' battle, there's important points on the line here for the SML guys as at the moment Flores will be gaining some big points with Gemzo out as well. It's important that the two guys in the Williams car try and get that championship battle extended in their favour at the moment, otherwise Flores might just help the team out slightly at this rate at the moment. Cherry Tupai is going to be the first person for the SRL guys to get a podium since Skeven of round 1, where he picked up that race win, surprising to me and Andy after his recent performances of making mistakes and so on. So could be a real good performance for him in the Force India at the moment. Ace of Pace, as we mentioned, is being under pressure from Marchetti, who is coming through now, no name, to try and really gain on the Swede in the yellow Renault. Julian, he's dropping time, he's in no man's land, so too is Technica, Tumas and Stocky, who is sadly no longer with us. So realistically, the only battles we're looking at are Marchetti and Ace of Pace and Kari and Flores. Other than that, everyone else seems to be in no man's land. They're set in stone for their positions and their race finishes, with gaps looking at around about on average 20 seconds between 6th to 9th between each person. As a DNF there for Technica, he's crashed out. I just mentioned it. He's come through the middle sector there, and he's crashed out of the race. So that is Technica's race out. He's lost a rear wheel. He's out of this Grand Prix. The Haas boys will lose out on points there, and Tumas will gain a position. Stocky will also, and Tempfear, who is in the pits. I'm not sure if he'll be gaining one. It's a little bit of a lag situation out with him. We're not sure what's going on. But Technica, I think he would have made it over that percentage to mean that he does score points. So at the moment, he would be getting 10 or 9. So depending on if actually Tempfear overtakes him and if Stocky is classified at the end of the Grand Prix. So minimal really, looking like Technique is going to be getting P8 or P9 at the least. But Kari hasn't really lost. Kari hasn't really lost any time at the front, so they're seemingly keeping that gap. So it looks like the tyres are coming back to him.
Yes, I did quickly do the math, and he's in luck. If he retired at lap 19, he's going to get nothing from this race. Lap 20, you do 20 divided by 22, you're going to get 99, or not 99, 0.909. So really, he's going to get at least a couple points out of this race, so it's not completely game over for the Haas drivers. So they're going to get still something out of it. I mean, obviously, you still have Tromos running out there in 7th. He's going to pick up 6 points. Whether or not where Tempfear is on the track right now, he's still stuck in the pits for me. Right now, as it stands, Technico would still pick up 2 points. So really, for Haas, they only lose 2 points. Well, Tomos comes into the pits, so they may lose a little bit more. Actually, no, Stocky left the session still. So I'm not sure if that would be classified as a DNF. I don't exactly know. Flores, however, is going to come across the line for the penultimate lap of today's Belgian Grand Prix for ULC. And, well, that gap is 4 seconds now. This is something Flores has wanted to see. And, well, I'm not sure if Kara is completely given up yet, but he does not know that 5-second penalty that Flores has. And Flores right now, he's just trying to exceed that gap. And now it's back down to 3.9. It was 3.7. And we're really close to the end here. It might be a photo finish on time, not by how close the cars are, but how close on time. Marchetti, a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Like I said, gap went down to 3.5, so I think Kerr is giving one last push, trying to get close to Flores here. And he's treaded lines down the streaks on those super soft tires for Kerr. And really, the gap has already gone down. Now it's 3.7. And Flores, another 3-second time penalty. So it's effectively game over. No matter what happens, it's really game over. I think he was just trying to push and push and push, trying to exceed that gap, and it was not going to work. Though we head towards the final lap, and the gap is up to 4.3 seconds, and Kerr losing a lot of time already. He's like drifting through sector number 2 to sector number 3. Gap is up to 4 seconds now, 4.3. Imagine what would have happened if Flores never got that second time penalty. Would have been very close between those drivers, with time. But the gap is 4.2 seconds. Tempfear, like I said, still in the pits. So, quick rundown before we finish this race. It is Flores, Kerr, Cherry Tupai, Ace at Pace, Esmo Marchetti, Julian, Tuomo, Stocky, and Tempfear on my screen. Running up the top 9, then there's Technica in 10th. Final lap in today's Belgian Grand Prix for ULC, and Flores still leads by 4.2 seconds, but with those, I think it was 8 seconds of penalties, it's going to give Kerr the win by 4 seconds as it stands right now.
Yeah, it's a really disappointing situation for him. I was just going to mention about who you thought was driver of the day. For me, it would have gone to Flores if he would have won this race. He led from turn one and has done a fantastic job. But the other nominations you'd probably say were Marchetti. SML Marchetti's done a really good job. Maybe Tumas, who dropped down quite significantly, got his way back up. But I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say Cherry Tupai. I'm going to give him my driver of the day for this race. I mean, he's not gained or lost any positions, and I normally have a rule that if somebody loses or doesn't gain any positions, they don't deserve driver of the day. But I think he's drove a really mature race for his age, and he's done a really good job. He's come into this race and done a real good performance. I think we both know Cameron very well for his immaturity.
I was laughing.
Yeah. He normally likes to make a few mistakes, and notoriously from my group, he's well known for being a bit of a bottle job under pressure. But when pressure struck earlier on in the wet conditions, he made a fantastic move to get into second. He's drove well, avoided damage, and for me, I'm going to give him driver of the day just for the fact that he stayed out of trouble and not really got involved in much. I mean, you could say Kari is about to win the race, but he lost the position at the start, and Marchetti's made his way through. But he's not really made any overtakes with just being lucky that no one else has crashed. So I'm going to give it to Cameron. Cherry Tupai, he's my driver of the day. I'm not sure about you.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. But we go to the final corner for Flores. Crosses the line. Right now it's P1. Gap opens up to 5 seconds. Kerr thinks he just got second, but crosses the line, and well, he did just get second. He had another penalty. So it did not add up. Kerr.
Well,
was close
there we go.
I didn't even know he had another penalty.
Yeah, I'll change the driver of the day. Congratulations, Flores. You're our driver of the day, in my opinion now. Sorry, Cameron. Flores won the race. Congratulations, Flores. You get driver of the day. Cameron comes home third.
I think I'd still give it to Cameron. Most likely, he was battling 3 different cars, and the wet conditions. Most likely, we both know him, and I thought he would have spun out or done something. But as it stands right now, I mean, it would either be Flores or Cherry. But I mean, you could say Flores, but I also look at those 8 seconds of penalties he racked up, and for a driver
we'll give it to Cameron. We'll give it to Cameron.
Yeah, I'll give it to Cameron.
We'll give it to Cameron. You know, it'd be cruel to. He'll watch back the stream and he'll look at this moment and he'll get all excited and have it ripped. But it's Cameron. We'll give it to Cameron. Your driver of the day is Cherry Tupai. He'll be over the moon with that. Congratulations to him, and also congratulations to Flores on his very well-deserved race victory.
Yep, and AI has crashed. It was Ace of Pace. He's crashing the Cam Hunt after the race. And that ends the excitement of the Belgian Grand Prix. And that definitely ends out a good race, despite 12 runners and 9 finishers. Really, a little less than that, in my opinion. That ends out a good Grand Prix. And on top today in the Sauber is going to be Flores once again. The top 2 finish where they were last round. It is Flores, Kerr, and Cherry Tupai rounding out the podium order for ULC and the Belgian Grand Prix. And it's been a good race. I definitely have enjoyed it. So most likely we'll be speaking to the same guys we talked to last time out. And then, of course, we'll get Cherry in here, of course. Always provide some good interviews. So yeah, your finishing order. Everyone but Kerr gets, wait, what?
Yeah.
Hold up. Kerr never got a penalty.
Yeah.
And Kerr only finished.
That's gonna.
4 seconds behind.
We'll make sure this one's sent into the stewards because it doesn't look like the order has actually worked. So we're not sure who's won out of Kari and Flores at the moment. We'll give it to Flores, but you'd imagine that Kari should, unless we had some desync. But quickly run through the order.
Yep. It is Flores, Kerr, Church, Bias, Pace, Marchetti, Julian, Tempfier, Tuamos, Alonso, Grosjean, Ericsson, Popper. That rounds out. I didn't have time to guess. The Belgian Grand Prix. The only thing I do now on the podium is that Cam got third, and that
we'll quickly get the
drivers finished.
We'll quickly get the drivers in for the drivers' interviews. It'll be 2 minutes while we get them in, ready for interviews. If you have questions, please leave them down in the comment section down below. And we'll be a few minutes. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's just such a it's such a strange phenomenon because my internet isn't great and my PlayStation, you can hear it just like goes in. It's like, now I'm not gonna. You've suggested them. Cheers. It's yeah. Mm. Yeah, it doesn't disconnect. I'll give it credit where it's due. It doesn't. Yeah, it's consistently making a noise. There's Flores and there's Kari. I listened back on the stream halfway through and I put it in my ear and you couldn't hear the background noise, so I think it sorted itself out. Let's give him a standing ovation when he comes in. Woo! You did it! You won't believe it. You won't believe it, Cameron. We've given you driver of the day. Well, do you not hear Cameron? And Alan. Cameron's going to join and rejoin. Right, everyone's here. We've got a full. Flores and Kari, we have to kind of. We're going to treat Flores as the race winner. We're going to treat Flores as the race winner, but the issue we've got is that Flores got 13 seconds worth of time penalties, and I'm not sure Kari. Yeah, it said 13. 8 seconds. How many? Did you get any time penalties, Kari? And how far behind was you of Flores? 5 seconds. It should be you. It said that Flores got a 5-second stop go. Did you get a 5-second stop go? Got it after pits. So yeah, we're gonna have to send that into the stewards. But for this moment in time, Flores is the race winner because he crossed the line and on the classifications. But it will be looked into. Okay. Right, we're gonna go into interviews. Alan, you can kick off. And it's about to begin. 3, 2, 1.
I mean, I don't know what questions to ask. I mean, I could say either Kari or Flores won, but I mean, you're treating us Flores won. So, I mean, I'm gonna ask Flores first. Again, you had miraculous pace compared to Hungary as well, where you won. It's back-to-back from what I believe, and good result for you in Race Stars NL. How do you exactly do it? Because I mean, you took the lead on the opening lap and you stayed there for pretty much the entire time and held off Kari, and you got nowhere close to you. But you know, on time penalties, that's another question. So, Flores, how are you able to hold them off and really keep the gap consistent?
I think just practice a lot, because that's the main part. Also, congrats to Kari for P2. But yes, it's just practicing a lot and looking where I made mistakes and then next to it better.
Okay. You have a question, Oliver?
Yeah, I just want to quickly mention. I mean, you got a really good move up into turn 1. How important was that for you to get that move done early on? Because obviously Kari showed such great pace in qualifying. I mean, how important was the move into turn 1?
I think it was again the crucial move, because you saw he was at the Lecom. He was already right beside me. We had a fight to the corner with no name. So I think it was a crucial move, but still the faster car on track. But Kari also had a steady pace. So yeah, crucial move it was.
Okay, so questions done for Flores. Thank you for joining us in the booth, Flores. Congratulations on, as it stands right now, a race victory.
Thank you very much.
So next, right now, second place man, again for the second week in a row, it is Kari. For what I believe, it is MGP. I think it's MGP. I'm not sure.
SML.
I know it's a Spanish league, so SML. Okay. So a great result from you today. Fantastic pace, but you were not able to get the job done and not get close enough to Flores. What are your plans for the future of ULC to try and change that? I mean, you want to get back to victory most likely. I think we both agree on that. You know, but what are your plans now exactly? I mean, you've been getting podiums left and right, but really the goal is to get that race victory. And you've done that before, so what's the exact plan now?
I don't know. First of all, congrats to Flores. He had a fantastic race, really good pace. And I also get shocked about that, because I couldn't get close to Flores with super soft. But I think I had that tire glitch, so I think I was losing 4 laps or something to my pace that I practice, but and in the future, I think I'm doing a good job, but I have to improve the race pace. It seems like that. So.
Yeah, Kari, I mean, this is a really important moment for your championship. You continue to extend in the constructors as it stands, and also drivers' championship. So it's just one step closer. Do you think you can keep the work going and get it done?
I don't know. Flores is a really good driver. He's actually like I say, shocking me with his pace, because I didn't know he was that fast, but it's going to be really difficult, and I hope I can win the championship.
Thank you very much. Kari, again, second place finisher today. Thank you very much for joining us in both. So, finally, I was not expecting him to get a podium. When he messaged me 2 hours ago saying that he'll be racing in the Force India, I started laughing for a second, not gonna lie. But, fantastic result. Third place, Cam. Usually what Oliver described to me, I agree with, was that you crack under pressure in the wets when you're battling people, and you did a fantastic job holding off many cars against yourself, and you're able to slide into third. How'd you exactly do it today?
I only just realised today how to drive in the wet, to be honest. So I've just been doing it wrong ever since. So yeah, it was good, but the opening laps were very, very tough to keep the cars behind, because I think the start of the race is quite crucial just to settle into a rhythm, and it looked like other people settled into it quicker than me. But I think after someone went deep, and whatever happened to Julian, I just slowly pulled away from ace of pace. But congratulations to Kari and Flores. Different level of pace today, you two. I just couldn't really match it at all.
Yeah, Cameron, nobody really ever expects these sort of things from you. You always seem to throw up a shock performance with a lower level amount of people showing up today. You were the best of the rest out of the two at the top. Do you reckon if, you know, Marchetti and all them would have been up and it would have been a clean race, you would have still got third?
What happened to Marchetti?
Marchetti was unable to qualify.
I know what happened to him.
Oh.
He had problems with his PS4, and then he joined when the race was starting, and he couldn't pick any setup. So.
Oh,
okay.
Well, I mean, if Marchetti had a setup and had qualified, I think that I probably would have been behind him. He probably would have been at the front with Flores and Kari. But yeah, I'll take the result. I'll take it.
I probably want to also mention as well, at the very start there was this massive scrap where people were losing front wings left, right and centre, and you was one of the only people that avoided it. How much we come out during that moment?
Well, I'm quite well known to just like get damage or just die pretty much. So yeah. I mean, my results say it. I pretty much only I either die or do actually pretty well. So I think the first corner, I was surprised I didn't go into the back of Flores or Kari, to be honest, but I think someone went into the back of me. So yeah, first lap, just keep your front wing and then push on from there.
Well, it's a successful race for Cameron, an even more successful race for Flores and Kari. It will be decided upon, it will have to be noted that we are unsure at the moment who actually is the race winner, but it will be noted on Twitter who the race winner is. But as it stands, Flores wins from Kari and Cameron, and a really successful race weekend nonetheless. I'm going to quickly say thank you to Alan for once again stepping into the commentary box and covering for Andy, who should be back next week. We might even see Alan next week again, because I might not be here. The circle of commentary continues to rotate, and that's all I can say, Alan, is thank you very much for showing up and doing a great job once again.
No problem. So,
well, guys, it was
gonna be...
Yeah, you go for it. You have your moment. No, you have your moment.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you, everybody, so much for tuning in, and for the United League Championship, the Belgian Grand Prix. We'll see you back here next, or For ULC, I'm not sure if I'll be here or not. Not sure if my plans are free or if you'll be here or not. But thank you, everybody, so much for tuning in. I'm Alan Cavagnaro with the 3 drivers on the podium today alongside Oliver. We'll see you next week. See you next week on Tuesday for ULC. Have a safe night, everybody, and peace.